a forgotten starship rejected by all, until a human mechanic turned it into the galaxy's mightiest. Among them floated a shadow of the past, a starship once proud and grand, now forgotten. Its hull was dented and scorched, its engines silent, and its name barely readable on the rusted side, Aurora's Echo. Many had seen it before, drifting aimlessly, and all had dismissed it. No alien fleet had claimed it, no trader had dared approach. To the galaxy, it was nothing more than space junk, but for Cale Arden, it was something different. Cale was human, born on a mining colony on the edge of the galaxy. While others saw the fringe sector as a dead end, Cale saw opportunity. Machines spoke to him in ways most beings never understood. He could hear the subtle hums, the irregular pulses of dying circuits, and even the sighs of engines long since abandoned. The Aurora's Echo was whispering now, and Cale was listening. The small shuttle he piloted descended toward the derelict, dodging asteroids and the occasional burst of radiation from distant stars. The ship shook as it passed through a thin belt of cosmic debris, but Cale's hands were steady. Years of tinkering with engines, broken drones, and malfunctioning craft had made him fearless. When he finally docked, the vastness of the Aurora's Echo swallowed him whole. Its hull was scarred by time and neglect, and rust crawled over every surface. Panels hung loose, and the airlock groaned like a tired beast. Cale's eyes, however, were sharp. Every dent, every scorched plate told a story waiting to be rewritten. He activated his portable scanner. It blinked and whirred as it mapped the ship's interior. "Engine core is cold," Cale muttered to himself. "Life support barely alive, systems fragmented," he smiled. "Perfect. Nothing here works the way it should. That's exactly how I like it." Cale stepped inside. The air was thick and stale, carrying the smell of burnt circuits and old metal. Dust swirled in faint beams of light from the cracked ceiling. The corridors were long, empty, and silent, as if the ship itself had been holding its breath for decades. As he moved deeper, he noticed small details: scratches on the walls, faded markings of an old crew, and discarded tools lying in corners. Each item told him the ship had once been alive, had once moved with purpose, and now, like a wounded animal, it waited. Cale knelt to examine a broken console, his fingers brushing over cold wires. "This isn't trash," he whispered. "It's history, and it's waiting for someone who cares." Hours passed as Cale walked through the ship. He cataloged damages, inspected the hull, and ran diagnostics on everything he could access. Some systems blinked faintly, like faint stars struggling against the night. Others were dead, beyond repair, without human ingenuity and patience. But Cale wasn't worried. To him, nothing was truly broken. Everything could be fixed, rebuilt, or even improved. He found the engine room last. The massive core, though silent and blackened, dominated the space. Once it had powered faster-than-light travel, weapon systems, and life support for hundreds of crew members. Now it was a sleeping giant. Cale crouched before it, running his hands over the cold metal. "You've been waiting a long time, haven't you?" he said softly. "But don't worry, I know how to wake you up." Cale spent the next day setting up a small workshop inside the ship. He brought tools, scanners, and spare parts from his shuttle. The Aurora's Echo's corridors, once empty and lifeless, now echoed with the sound of hammering, welding, and the soft whir of machines being restarted. Sparks flew as Cale repaired panels, replaced wires, and reprogrammed old circuits. At one point, a loose piece of metal fell and clanged loudly against the floor. Cale froze for a moment, listening. It was as if the ship was acknowledging his presence. "I know you're alive," he said with a grin. "You just need someone who believes in you." Night fell outside, and the fringe sector grew darker. Stars glimmered coldly in the distance, but Cale worked on, undeterred. He had always been drawn to the edges of the galaxy, where no one else ventured. Here, among forgotten ships and abandoned planets, humans had room to shine. Aliens rarely came this far, dismissing the fringe as worthless, but Cale knew better. He knew humans thrived where others hesitated, because humans were clever, resourceful, and never afraid to take risks. By the second day, the ship began to show signs of life. A few lights flickered on. The old navigation system hummed softly. Cale connected a temporary power source, and the engine core gave a low, vibrating sound, almost like a purr. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Enough to tell him that the Aurora's Echo could live again. As Cale rested for a brief moment, leaning against a wall, he noticed something unusual. Behind a panel near the command bridge, he found an old log file. It was heavily encrypted, but he managed to access it with his tools. The logs revealed the ship's original mission: exploration beyond the known galaxy, mapping regions no other civilization had dared to enter. The crew had been pioneers, far ahead of their time, and the Aurora's Echo had been their vessel of hope. Cale's eyes widened. "So you were more than just a ship," he said. "You were a dream, and now that dream isn't dead, not if I can help it." The human spent the next hours cleaning, repairing, and improvising. He repurposed alien tech he had scavenged from nearby derelict ships, integrating it into the Aurora's ecosystems. Each addition made the ship stronger, faster, and more adaptable. He modified the engines to work with a combination of old and new fuel sources, ensuring longer travel without refueling. He rewired weapons systems to be more efficient, even if they weren't going to be used yet. It was exhausting work, but Cale felt alive in a way he never had before. Every repaired wire, every functional console, and every spark of energy flowing through the ship was a victory. For the first time in decades, the Aurora's Echo was waking up, not just as a machine, but as a symbol. Late in the second day, Cale paused at the observation deck. The stars stretched infinitely, cold and distant, but the ship beneath his hands was warm. He imagined the adventures it could have, the places it could reach, and the wonders it could see. A thrill ran through him. Humans might be considered fragile, insignificant, or unpredictable by alien standards, but here, at the edge of the galaxy, human skill and courage made all the difference. Cale whispered to the ship, as if speaking to an old friend, "We'll show them, all of them, that humans and humans' machines can do what no one else thinks possible." As the first faint hum of the engine core echoed through the corridors, Cale realized something profound. The Aurora's Echo was more than a ship, more than metal and circuits. It was a promise. A promise that even what is forgotten can rise again with care, skill, and daring. And in the hands of a human, the impossible was only a challenge waiting to be solved. The night passed, but the ship's heartbeat continued. Cale finally settled down to sleep on a makeshift cot in the cargo bay. Outside, the stars of the fringe sector kept their silent vigil. Inside, a human mechanic dreamed alongside a ship reborn, unaware that this small act of belief and ingenuity would soon ripple across the galaxy. By dawn, the Aurora's Echo was no longer just a forgotten relic. It was alive, waiting. And its revival had only just begun. The morning light spilled over the rocky surface of the fringe planet, casting long shadows across Cale Arden's makeshift workshop. The Aurora's Echo rested like a giant beast, its hull still scarred, but alive. The faint hum of its engine core resonated through the corridors, a reminder that Cale's work the night before had not been in vain. Cale stretched and rubbed his eyes, scanning the ship's interior. Panels glimmered with low power, lights flickered as the systems came online, and the air smelled less stale. It was progress, though the ship was far from whole. He set to work immediately. Today was about rebuilding, improving, and preparing the ship to prove that it could rise from its forgotten state. Cale worked with tools in hand, moving through the corridors like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every wire he repaired, every bolt he tightened, and every system he rebooted added life back into the vessel. "This is going to take time," he muttered, "but every second is worth it." Cale had scavenged parts from nearby wrecks and abandoned outposts. Alien tech from distant systems sat neatly stacked on benches. Most species would never think to combine these items. They saw them as incompatible. But humans had a way of thinking differently. Cale could see patterns, possibilities, and connections where others saw only junk. He started with the ship's navigation systems. The old software was clunky, full of outdated code that no alien engineer would bother touching. But Cale rewrote and rewired the circuits, merging human programming logic with alien tech he had adapted. Slowly, the main console flickered to life, mapping the fringe sector with surprising accuracy. "This is beautiful," Cale said softly, stepping back to admire the work. "Not just fixed, better than before." Next, he tackled the life support systems. They were fragile and incomplete, enough to barely sustain the ship in its current state. Cale replaced worn air filters, repaired damaged oxygen generators, and installed a small water recycling module of his own design. The process was tedious, but the results were immediate. The air felt cleaner, fresher, almost alive. Cale paused to listen to the soft hum of the system. "There," he whispered. "You're breathing again." The engine room was next. This was the heart of the ship, the place where Kale's human ingenuity could make the most difference. The core was intact, but its fuel conduits were corroded, and the energy output was unstable. Kale climbed into the cramped space, soldering wires, replacing conduits, and recalibrating sensors. Sparks flew, illuminating the metal walls like tiny fireworks. Hours passed unnoticed. Kale was in his element, absorbed in the dance between human skill and alien engineering. For every problem the ship presented, he found a solution, often in ways no other species would imagine. He tested the engines repeatedly, each attempt bringing the core closer to stability. Finally, a steady, low hum indicated success. The Aurora's echo could now generate enough energy for basic propulsion. Kale smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You're not just a relic," he said to the ship. "You're something new, something better." The work was not without challenges. Small sparks caused minor fires in the corridors. Panels malfunctioned and shorted out. Dust from the old ship clogged scanners and sensors. Kale cursed and laughed in equal measure, improvising solutions and adapting on the fly. His human persistence became the ship's greatest asset, something no alien engineer had considered when they abandoned it. Around midday, a faint signal came through the communication arrays. Kale rushed to the console. It was a transmission from a passing freighter, a small alien scout ship. "Are you operational?" the voice crackled. "We saw lights. Is this the Aurora's echo?" Kale grinned. "Yes, she's alive, but not ready to see the galaxy just yet." The alien paused. "You a human, you fixed her. The entire fleet rejected her decades ago." Kale leaned back, arms crossed. "Sometimes the rejected ones just need someone who cares." The scout was silent for a moment, perhaps confused, perhaps impressed. "Remarkable, keep her safe." "Others might hear of this." Kale ended the transmission and laughed softly. "Let them hear, let them all see, but first we have work to do." By afternoon, Kale focused on the defensive systems. While the Aurora's echo was not intended for war, the fringe sector was dangerous. Pirates, rogue drones, and territorial aliens lurked everywhere. Kale reinforced the shields, recalibrated the targeting systems, and installed adaptive countermeasures. Each adjustment made the ship stronger, yet he also ensured that it remained sleek, agile, and capable of speed, something no heavily armed warship could match. While working, Kale discovered hidden compartments in the ship's interior. Some held supplies, old logs, and tools from the original crew. Others contained strange, advanced modules that even he could not immediately decipher. Each discovery added to the ship's mystery, suggesting it was always meant to be more than just a vessel. It was a pioneer, designed to explore regions of space beyond imagination. Kale paused at one compartment containing small, metallic spheres. They pulsed faintly, almost alive. Curious, he examined one, feeling a subtle vibration under his fingertips. After some tinkering, he realized these were old energy storage modules capable of holding immense power. "Well, hello there," he whispered. "You might just make things interesting." Evening came, and the fringe planet's twin moons rose, casting pale light on the hull of the Aurora's echo. Kale stepped outside, leaning against the ship, and looked up at the stars. To any alien observer, he would appear small and fragile against the massive vessel, but Kale felt a surge of pride. Humans had a way of taking risks, of seeing potential where others saw waste. The ship was responding to him because he believed it could. He thought of the logs he had found the previous day, the original mission to explore unknown galaxies. That mission had been abandoned because the species deemed the technology too risky, the distances too far, the unknown too dangerous. But humans thrived on risk. Humans thrived on exploration, and Kale, like the crew before him, was not afraid. Night fell completely. Kale returned inside and connected the final modules he had scavenged from nearby wrecks. He ran simulations, watching the systems adapt in real time. The ship responded flawlessly, integrating alien and human tech seamlessly. It was more than repaired, it was improved, upgraded, alive in a way it had never been before. Suddenly, alarms blared softly. Kale frowned. "What now?" he muttered. The sensors indicated a nearby movement, a small freighter drifting close to the planet. Kale rushed to the observation deck and saw the ship clearly, a scavenger, curious, probably expecting an abandoned vessel. Kale smiled. Not quite abandoned anymore. He activated a signal, sending a simple message in universal code. Do not board, ship under repair. The freighter hesitated, scanning the planet. Then, after a moment, it moved away, likely muttering about human stubbornness. Kale laughed. Even pirates and scavengers respected a determined human and a ship that was not so easily claimed. Late into the night, Kale finally rested. He lay in the small sleeping area he had set up in the cargo bay, exhaustion tugging at his muscles. Yet sleep did not bring peace. He dreamed of the ship moving through the stars, faster and farther than any fleet in the galaxy. He imagined the eyes of alien species widening in surprise when a human and a rejected relic became the greatest ship they had ever seen. When he woke, he knew what the next step had to be: testing. The Aurora's Echo was ready for its first flight, though it would be a trial, a challenge to see if all his work had succeeded. Kale grinned. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we see what you can really do." The fringe sector remained quiet, the stars glimmering coldly. But inside the ship, circuits hummed, engines vibrated faintly, and a human mechanic's spirit pulsed through every wire and panel. The Aurora's Echo was no longer just a forgotten relic. It was a promise. A promise that humans could take what others abandoned and turn it into greatness. And tomorrow, Kale thought, as he stared at the stars through the observation deck, they would see. The fringe planet glimmered below, its jagged mountains and cratered plains stretching like a forgotten world. Kale Arden stood on the observation deck of the Aurora's Echo, gripping the console as the ship thrummed beneath him. Today was the day. The first flight. After weeks of rebuilding, repairing, and improvising, the ship was ready, or at least, Kale hoped it was. He checked every system one last time. Shields were online. Engines hummed with a steady vibration. Life support functioned perfectly, recycling air and water. The navigation system displayed a clear map of the sector, including nearby asteroid fields and scattered wrecks. Kale's fingers danced over the controls, adjusting minor calibrations. "You ready, old girl?" he whispered, patting the console. The ship responded with a soft, low hum, almost as if acknowledging him. Kale took a deep breath. He pressed the ignition sequence. The engines flared to life with a deep, resonant roar, shaking the floor beneath him. Sparks of energy pulsed along the conduits, and a faint glow spread through the engine room. The Aurora's Echo shuddered but held steady. "Not bad," Kale said with a grin. "Not bad at all." The ship lifted from the planet's surface, its thrusters cutting cleanly through the thin atmosphere. The twin moons reflected off the polished hull, casting silver streaks across Kale's face. He could feel the power beneath him, a mix of human ingenuity and alien technology, combined into something new, something alive. As he reached orbit, Kale ran diagnostics again. Everything was holding. He opened the main viewport to see the fringe sector laid out below. It was beautiful, silent, and dangerous. "Time to see what you can really do," he muttered. Kale engaged the primary propulsion system. The ship surged forward, moving faster than he had imagined. The acceleration pressed him into the seat, and the stars blurred into long streaks of light. It was exhilarating. The Aurora's Echo responded perfectly to every command, maneuvering with precision, sliding through space like it had always been meant to fly. But the first test was not just about speed. Kale had designed the ship to be agile, adaptable, and surprisingly clever. Alien ships, designed for raw power, often underestimated humans. Kale knew that unpredictability was humanity's greatest strength. A flash appeared on the radar. A small alien scouting vessel had entered the sector, likely curious about the strange readings from the fringe planet. Kale smiled. "Let's see what they think of a human in a ship they all abandoned." He adjusted the Aurora's Echo's trajectory, weaving through asteroids and debris. The scout followed cautiously, its sensors struggling to track the unusual patterns of the ship. Kale twisted the controls, causing the Aurora's Echo to dance unpredictably, darting sideways, then forward, then spinning in a sudden arc. The alien vessel struggled to keep pace, its weapons systems failing to lock on. "Humans don't follow rules," Kale said, laughing. "We make our own." The scout backed off, scanning furiously. Kale engaged the ship's adaptive shields, allowing him to get close without fear. He simulated an attack pattern, firing harmless energy bursts toward the freighter to test the weapon systems. The shot struck precisely, demonstrating the ship's efficiency without causing damage. "You're more than ready," he whispered to the ship. "More than I even hoped." Word of the Aurora's Echo's revival traveled faster than Kale expected. By the time he returned to the outskirts of the sector, rumors had reached larger alien fleets. Ships of all shapes and sizes scanned the area, curious and suspicious. Many had dismissed the derelict ship decades ago. Now reports of human ingenuity transforming it into a living, breathing warship or exploration vessel sparked disbelief. Kale watched from the bridge as sensors picked up multiple contacts. Some were merchants, some were pirates, and some were curious military scouts. All were drawn to the anomaly, a human flying a ship that should have been dead. The first real challenge came in the form of a pirate squadron, 6 ships, heavily armed, circling in a cautious formation. They assumed the ship was defenseless, just another relic floating at the edge of known space. They were wrong. Kale activated the Aurora's Echo's countermeasures. The shields flickered, energy pulsed through defensive grids, and decoy drones launched from hidden compartments. The pirates fired, expecting easy destruction. Lasers sliced through space, striking empty corridors and decoys. Kale twisted the ship in ways that no alien pilot anticipated, using sharp arcs, spins, and sudden bursts of speed. Each movement was calculated, yet unpredictable, a perfect combination of skill and instinct. One by one, the pirate ships faltered. Their weapons misfired, shields failed under adaptive pressure, and their formations broke apart. Kale watched with satisfaction as the last ship retreated, scanning nervously, unsure of what they had just faced. "Humans are dangerous," Kale whispered. "Not because we're strong, but because we're clever." As the pirate threat faded, Kale noticed a transmission. An alien freighter, an older vessel, hailed him. The voice was cautious but curious. "Human, how did you awaken that ship? It was considered useless decades ago." Kale grinned, fingers hovering over the console. "I guess humans just don't give up on things others throw away." The alien paused, seemingly impressed, then ended the transmission. Kale chuckled. He knew the galaxy would remember this encounter. Word would spread that a human had revived a rejected starship and turned it into a force to be reckoned with. Kale didn't stop there. He decided to push the ship further, testing its full potential. He engaged the experimental propulsion system he had designed, a mix of alien energy cores and human engineering. The ship surged forward, faster than any vessel in the nearby sectors. Navigation systems blinked warnings, shields glowed under strain, but the ship held firm. "You're amazing," Kale whispered, eyes wide as the stars stretched into streaks of color. "I never imagined you could do this." Suddenly, a massive shadow appeared on the radar, an alien warship far larger than anything Kale had faced before. Its sensors locked on, weapons charging. This was no scout, no pirate. This was a serious fleet vessel capable of destroying entire colonies. Kale felt a rush of adrenaline. He took a deep breath. "Let us show them what humans can do." The Aurora's Echo darted forward, weaving through asteroids and space debris. The warship fired, but Kale's maneuvers were unpredictable. He combined speed, agility, and the ship's adaptive countermeasures to evade attacks. For every laser that came close, the Aurora's Echo responded, spinning and twisting in ways that seemed impossible. Kale felt the thrill of battle, the rush of danger, the thrill of defying the odds. The warship couldn't keep up. Its size made it powerful but slow. The Aurora's Echo, guided by human intuition and ingenuity, was impossible to predict. Kale launched harmless energy bursts, demonstrating control and precision. The alien warship, confused and cautious, eventually disengaged. Breathing heavily, Kale leaned back in his seat. "Not bad for a rejected relic, huh?" he said, smiling. The ship hummed in response, steady and alive. The human mechanic had done more than survive the first test. He had proven something no alien had expected, that humans, when underestimated, could turn the impossible into reality. The Aurora's Echo was not just a revived starship. It was a symbol of human skill, creativity, and courage. As the fringe sector returned to quiet, Kale looked out at the stars. He knew the galaxy would never be the same. Aliens would talk about the human who turned a forgotten ship into a legend. Fleets would rethink their assumptions about humans. And Kale, for now, was content to fly, explore, and continue testing the limits of what was possible. He plotted a course for the next sector, eager to see what else the Aurora's Echo could do. Humans thrived where others feared, and Kale had only just begun to show the galaxy what that meant. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of unknown challenges, hidden dangers, and boundless opportunity. And as long as Kale and the Aurora's echo soared through them together, humans would be remembered, not as weak, fragile creatures, but as clever, audacious pioneers capable of reshaping the galaxy. The first test was over. The legend of the Aurora's echo was just beginning. The galaxy was vast, but news traveled fast. Rumors of a human mechanic who had revived the Aurora's echo reached systems far beyond the fringe sector. Ships whispered of the impossible, a derelict, abandoned starship now alive, faster, stronger, and smarter than any vessel the galaxy had seen. Cale Arden piloted the ship through uncharted space, the stars stretching into endless streaks of light outside the observation deck. The Aurora's echo hummed steadily beneath him, its energy core vibrant and alive. Every system he had repaired, every upgrade he had made, worked in perfect harmony. The ship had become an extension of him, a living testament to human ingenuity. He smiled, thinking back to the derelict ship he had first found, battered and forgotten. No alien had cared for it, no fleet had given it a chance. And yet here it was, alive and unmatched, all because humans refused to give up. But the galaxy was not waiting politely. Reports indicated that multiple alien factions had begun to converge, drawn by curiosity, fear, or a desire to claim the ship. Some saw a threat, others saw an opportunity. Cale knew he had to be careful, yet bold. Humans thrived in situations where others hesitated, and Cale intended to show them why. The first encounter came near a dense asteroid belt. 6 ships appeared on sensors, their designs unfamiliar but threatening. They circled cautiously, weapon systems primed, clearly expecting an easy victory. Cale's grin widened. "Let us show them what humans can do," he said, his hands steady on the controls. The Aurora's echo surged forward, weaving through the asteroids with impossible agility. The alien ships tried to follow, but their larger designs made them slow and predictable. Cale triggered a series of decoy drones, sending reflections and false energy signatures into space. The enemy ships fired blindly, their lasers slicing through empty voids. Cale laughed, the sound echoing across the ship. "Humans don't play by rules." He tested the ship's weapon systems, firing energy pulses with perfect precision, not to destroy but to demonstrate control. The pulses struck nearby asteroids, sending them tumbling into the alien ship's path. Shields flared, engines sparked, and the attackers realized too late that they had underestimated a human pilot and a ship they once called worthless. One by one, they retreated, leaving Cale alone in the asteroid belt, victorious. "That was fun," he muttered, "but they're only the beginning." Beyond the asteroid belt, Cale entered a sector where a minor alien alliance held control. Ships patrolled aggressively, scanning for anomalies. Cale activated stealth mode, testing the Aurora's echo's ability to blend into the void. The ship's adaptive systems responded instantly, masking energy signatures and rerouting communications to avoid detection. But stealth was only temporary. The Alliance had ships equipped with long-range scanners designed to track anomalies across light years. They detected the Aurora's echo anyway. A massive fleet of 10 warships surrounded him, weapons charging. The humans were vastly outnumbered, but Cale remained calm. Humans thrived under pressure. Humans improvised. He studied the fleet's formation, noticing patterns. They moved in rigid sequences, predictable in their aggression. Cale grinned, recalling years of experience with machines. Sometimes all it took was a little chaos to turn the tide. The Aurora's echo darted forward, weaving unpredictably, lasers firing in rapid bursts to test reactions. The fleet fired back, but Cale anticipated every move. He used the environment to his advantage, gliding between asteroids, using gravitational anomalies to change speed and direction. The alien ships struggled to keep up, their large size and reliance on strict formations making them easy prey for a clever human pilot. After an intense series of maneuvers, Cale deployed experimental energy pulses from the hidden modules he had discovered in the ship's compartments. The pulses created temporary distortions in space, disorienting the alien fleet's sensors. Ships collided with one another, shields overloaded, and formations broke apart. Cale navigated through the chaos effortlessly. When the dust settled, only a few ships remained, damaged and wary. Cale allowed them to retreat, sending a simple message in universal code. "Humans are clever. Underestimate us at your own risk." The victory was not just physical, it was symbolic. Every alien species that had once dismissed the Aurora's echo now had to rethink their assumptions about humans. Kale smiled. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, and not the most technologically advanced. But humans were unpredictable, persistent, and creative, and that was more than enough. After the battle, Kale charted a course toward a distant sector known for ancient ruins. He had heard rumors of technologies far older than any currently in use, left behind by civilizations that had vanished long ago. If anyone could uncover them, it was a human with a ship like the Aurora's Echo. As the ship accelerated, Kale reflected on the journey. He had turned a rejected relic into a living, breathing starship capable of outrunning fleets, outmaneuvering warships, and surviving situations no other pilot could endure. The ship had become more than a vessel. It was a symbol of human potential. In the ancient sector, Kale discovered ruins floating in orbit around a dead planet. Massive structures of unknown origin hovered silently, their surfaces etched with alien symbols. Kale's curiosity flared. Humans were explorers by nature, and this was an opportunity no alien species would dare risk. He guided the Aurora's Echo closer, carefully scanning for dangers. The ruins seemed abandoned, yet the ship's sensors detected faint energy signatures. Kale docked at a central platform, the ship's engines cooling and humming softly. Inside the ruins, he discovered artifacts, old machines, and energy cores far beyond anything in current use. Kale examined them with care, integrating some into the Aurora's Echo, further enhancing its capabilities. Every modification made the ship stronger, faster, and more resilient. Kale marveled at the possibilities. Humans had taken something abandoned once again, this time not a ship, but technology long forgotten, and turned it into an advantage. But Kale knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy would take notice soon. Stories would spread of a human mechanic who had revived a ship no one else valued, who had outsmarted fleets and harnessed ancient technologies. Humans, once underestimated, would be seen in a new light. On the bridge, Kale looked out at the stars. He imagined future adventures, uncharted galaxies, alien species unaware of human cleverness, and challenges that no one else could solve. The Aurora's Echo had become a living legacy, and he was just the first human to awaken its true potential. A sudden alert interrupted his thoughts. Sensors detected a small fleet approaching, diplomatic ships from an alien council. Their purpose was unclear, but Kale's instincts told him they had heard of his exploits. He opened a communication channel. A voice echoed through the bridge, calm but curious. "Human, your actions have reached the council. We wish to meet to understand the ship and its capabilities." Kale leaned back, a smile spreading across his face. "I'm happy to meet, but I think it's time the galaxy understood humans a little better." The council ships arrived cautiously, scanning and analyzing the Aurora's Echo. Kale allowed them to inspect certain systems, demonstrating the ship's power, agility, and adaptability. The council members were astounded. No alien fleet had ever managed to combine old and new technology so seamlessly. No pilot had ever shown such skill in controlling a ship once considered worthless. The council acknowledged Kale's achievements. Offers of alliances, trade, and collaboration came from species that once ignored humans. But Kale, ever cautious and independent, knew the ship belonged to him and humanity, not to alien empires. He accepted their respect but made it clear. The Aurora's Echo would remain a symbol of human ingenuity first, not a tool for alien politics. That night, Kale stood on the observation deck, the galaxy sprawled endlessly before him. The Aurora's Echo hummed beneath him, a starship transformed by human skill, patience, and courage. He reflected on the journey from a forgotten relic to a legend capable of rewriting the galaxy's view of humans. "The galaxy is bigger than I imagined," Kale whispered. "But with you, we can go anywhere and show everyone what humans are really capable of." He charted a course for unexplored regions, the Aurora's Echo blazing through the stars. The ship's engines roared with power, the systems alive and alert, ready for any challenge. Kale's heart swelled with pride, not arrogance, but the quiet certainty that humans, when underestimated, could achieve greatness. In the coming months, the Aurora's Echo would be seen in battles, explorations, and diplomatic encounters across the galaxy. Every alien fleet, every distant world would learn the same lesson. Humans are not weak, humans are not predictable, and humans are not insignificant. Humans are clever, daring, and unstoppable when their creativity and courage combine. Cale Arden, a simple mechanic from the fringe sector, had done more than revive a starship. He had reminded the galaxy that even the rejected and forgotten could rise again, stronger than ever. The Aurora's Echo was no longer just a ship, it was a legend. And as Cale guided it into the endless stars, he knew the adventure had only just begun.